And let's bring in Max Schneidman from The Athletic. Been there a couple years. By the way, he was at minicamp, 3 days of it. Today was the last day. So, the first day, Jordan Love, not great. Yesterday, really good. Drum roll, please. How was Jordan Love today?
It was a little anticlimactic after his nothing short of dominant yesterday, really. I don't think that's an exaggeration. He was kind of in the middle today. So kind of the peaks and valleys that you would expect from a quarterback who really hasn't played quarterback in the NFL. He had no preseason last year, canceled because of COVID. Third stringer all year, never dressed for a game. And because Aaron Rodgers isn't here at mandatory minicamp, officially a holdout, the reigning MVP is, Jordan Love is taking the vast bulk of snaps during 11-on-11s over Blake Bortles. So we're finally seeing what Love is made of. And in a small sample size, he's showing some promise, definitely some improvement from last season.
Let's just talk about, we know he moves well. We saw his college tape. He can move around well. There's a little Mahomes there. Is he a check-down kid? How's his arm? Just, if I'd never seen him play and you're my scout, you're my regional scout, and I say, hey, give me a minute. What's he look like when he plays?
Yeah, I talked to one of his top receivers from Utah State around this time last year, and the name he threw out was Patrick Mahomes. Now, I'm not saying he's like Patrick Mahomes, but he can move. He can throw a really far ball. I know that's kind of elementary terms there, but has a really strong arm. Struggled with a little bit of accuracy early in this week. Obviously, yesterday really improved on that, but he's that new age of quarterback, that Mahomes makeup. I'm not saying he's Mahomes again, but he has the intangibles that you need in today's NFL. Now, everything else, reading defenses, commanding a huddle, that is a work in progress. But the Packers, why they traded up 4 spots in the first round in 2020 to take him are because they think he has the physical skills, I don't know, to be the next Hall of Fame quarterback in Green Bay, but that heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers.
You know, it's interesting. We've said we kind of believe you got to rip the Band-Aid off on this thing. And when you rip the Band-Aid off, it hurts briefly, but usually heals quickly. And, I mean, if you got Aaron holding out and Jordan Love's going to be asked a million questions, and so is Matt LaFleur. Matt, you've been covering this team. You know the NFL. The more noise you have, the more distractions. It's hard. This is not the NBA with 6 great teams, 5 good ones, and a bunch of junk. I mean, Jacksonville last year beat the Colts. The Jets beat the Rams. Like, you got to be focused. You can't be going and dealing with, these peripheral issues. So let's say, is in your mind, Matt, is there a moment where the holdout continues that Green Bay, just for the betterment of Jordan Love's psyche and the organization, would move him? I mean, if he missed the first day of training camp, for instance, Matt, would the temperature in the room change, in your opinion?
I don't think so. I think Brian Gutekunst, the GM, whether it's this year or in 4 years, I know I heard you talking before I came on, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be the quarterback here for the next 4 years. I think it's possible. If they come to a resolution here and they give Aaron Rodgers a contract extension and he's the quarterback here for the next 3 years at least, I think they still would hang on to Jordan Love in hopes he can be the next guy. Listen, I know quarterbacks don't sit for 3 years like Aaron Rodgers did anymore when they first come into the league, but I think they're really committed to not trading Aaron Rodgers, as I reported, because when it comes down to it, if you're a GM, you simply cannot have the bullet point on your resume that you traded the reigning MVP with 3 years left on his contract. I don't care what the circumstances are. Brian Gutekunst cannot trade him. I honestly think that Brian Gutekunst would not swallow his pride and, do anything different than what he's currently standing firm on, as I said, and that's not trading Aaron Rodgers. And even if he stays with the team, I think they're fine riding out with Jordan Love. At this point, I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but I think they're going to keep both guys and not trade either of them. I think that's how this eventually ends. And whether that's Aaron Rodgers holding out and he's on the roster into the regular season, or whether he's starting for them, I think it's one of those 2 scenarios that we end up in.
You used to cover the Raiders for the Bay Area News Group. Now you cover the Packers, and we talk about 2 different fan bases. The Packers, it's very collegiate, very insular. So I'm sure that you're in Green Bay right now. You would occasionally turn on talk radio, it's the talk of the town, obviously. And I don't think the PR stuff matters that much. If Aaron's back, they win. If Jordan Love can play, they win. If he can't and Aaron holds out, they won't win as much. But when you talk to Packer fans, you go to the grocery store, you listen to talk radio, what are people saying? What are Packer fans saying?
If I have my finger accurately on the pulse of this passionate fan base. I would say that not a majority of them, but a chunk of them that maybe I did not expect when this first broke on draft day from Adam Schefter are starting to turn against Aaron Rodgers. We're getting to the point in the summer where I feel, and maybe my read's incorrect, I don't think it is, that people just want this to be over. They want him to say, all right, come back, retire, trade him, whatever. But what Aaron Rodgers told Kenny Mayne was that, or what he implied essentially was that his only beef is with the front office. And that's really GM Brian Gutekunst. He said he loves the fans. He loves his teammates. He loves the coaching staff and Matt LaFleur and offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett. So I think fans in a sense are like, why can't you just, for lack of a better term, suck up your feelings for the GM and come back and play for everyone else that you love? Just get over it. Now, that's not me saying that. That's what I think the pulse of the fans are. So is Mark Murphy right when he comes out in his mailbag on Packers.com and says, this has divided the fan base? I think he's right. Was it a smart thing to do from a team president perspective to come out and, at least what it seems like, try and paint Aaron Rodgers in a bad light and blame him for dividing the fan base? I don't know if that's a great move from a PR standpoint, but like you said, I agree with you, Colin, 100%. I don't think the PR battle really matters. What matters is, can Jordan Love play?
Yeah. So when you're at practice, do you feel compelled? Because one of the things I think about is you're just going to ask Aaron. I mean, the longer he's out, the more questions will be asked. Do you feel as a writer for The Athletic, and there's not a right or wrong answer, but do you feel kind of compelled every day to ask the Aaron Rodgers questions, even though it's June, because it's just it's the elephant in the room? I mean, were you asking Aaron Rodgers questions today?
Not today. I'm on this show instead of on the Zoom calls, which I have no problem doing. But yesterday, when we talked to Jordan Love, I asked him, I said, you're a 22-year-old kid. You're a human. How do you compartmentalize all this stuff? How do you avoid the reigning MVP not being here from being a distraction for you, essentially? And I'm paraphrasing my question here, since everyone's talking about it. And he gave the cliche, the appropriate answer of, just zoning in on what I can do, control what I can control. I thought Love was impressive in what he said yesterday. Yeah. But listen, you know how this industry works. We have to ask every day. It's the biggest story in the NFL. He's the reigning MVP. It's not like he's some Joe Schmo. And even if Matt LaFleur is sick and tired of answering Aaron Rodgers questions, which I think he is, we got to ask, because you never know which day there's going to be an update. You never know which day someone's going to say something. It's the saga that will never end. And quite frankly, I just want to enjoy my summer, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. What is your gut feeling? If I said, all right, Matt, you've been covering this team for 2 or 3 years. You got a bunch of sources. I mean, you're in the town here. Just your gut feeling, what happens?
I think Aaron Rodgers starts for the Packers week 1 in New Orleans. I understand that he's dug in right now to his stance, and I understand he's very stubborn. I don't know him as well as some of the other guys on the beat who have been covering his entire career. But in my interactions with Aaron, he seems like a very stubborn guy who is not willing to waver. But that being said, and this is just my assumptions, I think there are several players on the team, Devontae Adams, Mercedes Lewis, David Bakhtiari, Mason Crosby, who can get into Aaron's ear over the next couple months. And time heals all wounds, and those are his closest friends on the team. And they say, listen, man, if they say this, listen, man, you love us, you love the fans, you love the coaches, come back, win one more title in Green Bay, cement your legacy, even if it's not already cemented. Who cares what you feel about the GM? I think with time, they could convince him to do that. Maybe he wants to see some change in the organization in how players are treated. You heard him talk about people and how players are treated in that interview with Kenny Mayne, and kind of not naming the front office, but indirectly naming them. If he feels that the GM is really dug into not trading him, which I think Brian Gutekunst is, I could see him showing up in the middle of training camp and say, all right, their reputation's been drugged through the mud enough. I'm going to come back and do this for all the people I love. I think Aaron Rodgers will start week 1. If you ask me to put a percentage on it, I would say 65 to 70% confident right now.
All right. That's a pretty good percentage. Better than the Powerball. I play that every day. So, Matt Schneidman, read his stuff at The Athletic. He's the Packer reporter. He's been there for a couple of years. He also has alongside Bill Huber, Head of the Pack podcast. Matt, thanks. You could have done other stuff today. You talked to us. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Colin. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.